Hey, it's another Manic Monday here at Occupy Democrats, and we have a question for you. Where or where has JD Vance been for the last couple of months? Well, in this breaking story, we address exactly where he is and why he might be staying there for now. You see, during election cycles, we talk a lot about the VP candidate leading up to the vote, but then after the term starts, we don't discuss them much, unless, of course, you're trying to destroy Kamala Harris because Joe Biden has suddenly decided he can't run. But in this breaking story, JD Vance might be just a little sharper than that in certain ways, because if you don't recall, he has played into a few times acting like he is the president, and then he has to say whoopsie poop like this.
Chris, and I think that I've learned my lesson on speaking for the president before he and I have actually talked about an issue.
So he would veto a federal abortion ban?
I think he would. He said that explicitly that he would.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, JD Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with JD, in all fairness.
Senator Vance, just to clarify once and for all, if Donald Trump were to be elected, if a federal abortion ban were to land on his desk, would he veto it?
He's been incredibly clear that he doesn't support a national abortion ban. He wants abortion policy to be made by the states because he thinks, look, Alabama's going to make a different decision from California, and that's okay. We're a big country.
And while Trump digs a major hole he can't seem to get out of with Epstein in this breaking story, let's remember some of the things JD Vance has said about Donald Trump. Here are some of JD Vance's thoughts on Donald Trump. In quotes, "I can't stomach Trump," Vance said in an interview with NPR when describing why he would vote for a third-party candidate. In quotes, "I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. He even considered voting for Hillary Clinton over Trump." In quotes, "I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton." Yet another, in quotes, "Mr. Trump is unfit for our nation's highest office," he wrote in the op-ed describing his own family's adoration and commitment to Trump. Once again, Vance once questioned whether Trump could be, in quotes, America's Hitler in a private Facebook message in 2016 to one of his former roommates. "It was that or a cynical a-hole like Nixon," Vance wrote in messages to a former Yale Law School classmate, Josh McLaurin, now a Democrat state senator in Georgia. Also in quotes, "My God, what an idiot," Vance wrote in one of the tweets. It was one of his many tweets now deleted. And finally, of course, in quotes, "I'm a never Trump guy," Vance said in an interview with Charlie Rose in 2016 while publicizing his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. In quotes, "I never liked him." Because in this breaking story, Trump is Caesar. The question is, how close is JD Vance to becoming Brutus? And he's only 1/4 pounder cheese away from stepping into that chair. So what do you think he's thinking? Well, in this breaking story, how about this? Breaking news, in quotes, "needs to watch his back." Trump warned of surprising rival gunning for his job. Vice President JD Vance stands to benefit tremendously from President Donald Trump's botched response to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, and he might have cause for concern. The vice president was an odd choice as Trump's running mate from the start, and a Trump critic from way back. And USA Today columnist Rex Hupke said there was no one who had more to gain by the president's inability to move past questions surrounding his longtime relationship with the disgraced financier. In quotes, "Vance is an ideological contortionist backed by dodgy tech billionaires like Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and David Sachs, whose money will help elevate him to become Trump's unlikely vice presidential pick," Hupke wrote. So it is hard to believe Vance is watching Trump digging his Epstein hole deeper and deeper and thanking his lucky stars for the president's incompetence and history of loutish behavior, Hupke added. In quotes, "The vice president was already on a magical political ride, buoyed by his own lack of principles. Now all he needs to do is sit back and let Trump self-immolate while occasionally furrowing his brow at liberals and feigning support for the president," end quote. Vance behaves publicly like a Trump loyalist, saying the president has nothing to hide, but he hasn't deleted old social media posts challenging journalists to keep tugging at threads related to Epstein's trafficking case, and those reporters who have been pursuing the story keep finding evidence linking to Trump. In quotes, "That surely puts a sparkle in Vance's eye. And in the event more damaging details about Trump's connection to Epstein come out, the vice president can always say, 'Gosh, He told me he had nothing to hide. Who could have imagined? Hupke wrote. In quotes, present-day Vance seems to be saying, shh, let's hang back and see how this plays out. Hupke stopped short of accusing Vance of engaging in a conspiracy to take down his boss, but the columnist noted that Elon Musk, the tech billionaire who helped convince Trump to select him as a running mate, helped revive the Epstein scandal after his acrimonious departure from his perch in the White House. In quotes, Trump built his political career on conspiracies, and now he's knee-deep in one, Hupke wrote. So I'm comfortable throwing a not unreasonable conspiracy onto the fire. In quotes, Vance would never make a move on Trump or publicly root against him, the columnist added. But if you don't think he'll gladly slide into the big boy chair, you haven't been paying attention. Trump needs to focus on the massive Epstein scandal burning around him. But if you ask me, he also needs to watch his back. Yeah, he might want to watch his back. Because when you stop and think, first of all, how absurd it is in so many ways that Donald Trump, just based on his history prior to 2015, not only got elected once, but then managed to lose and get elected again. Think about JD Vance's history. Can you possibly fathom a guy who called a two-time president potentially America's Hitler, and yet one day winds up sitting, as stated in the revealing story, the big boy chair? We think this kind of a story is so absurd, Hollywood would never even do it as a script. True. But of course, let's also not forget art imitates life. You might want to start doing some vetting and paying some attention to what JD Vance is, and more notably, is not doing, while Trump goes through the maze and the obstacle course of Hades that he's dug for himself over the course of the next 16 months until the midterms. In the meantime, you guys stay frosty.